In 217 AD, a man with no noble blood, no military conquests, and no family dynasty did the impossible. He seized control of the most powerful empire on earth. Gladiator II shows you a version of this story. But the verified historical record reveals something even more extraordinary. This is the official account of Marcus Opellius Macrinus, the outsider who conquered Rome. Macrinus was born around 165 AD in Caesarea, modern-day Algeria. Unlike every emperor before him, he came from the Mauritanian provinces, Rome's distant North African frontier. Historical sources confirm he began life in servitude before gaining his freedom. He had no path to power, no connections, no legacy. Yet somehow, this man from the edge of the empire would reshape its very foundations. Here is the official documentation. According to the ancient historian Cassius, writing just decades after these events, Macrinus rose through the Roman legal system. He became an advocate, then a bureaucrat, climbing through positions that required exceptional intelligence. The historical record shows he eventually caught the attention of Emperor Septimius Severus himself. This was his entry point to the imperial court. The Severan dynasty was tearing itself apart. When Septimius Severus passed in 211 AD, he left the empire to his two sons, Caracalla and Get. Within a year, Caracalla had his own brother eliminated, reportedly in their mother's arms. Rome entered an era of paranoia and purges, and Macrinus watched it all from inside the palace walls. Caracalla became one of Rome's most unpredictable rulers. He launched costly wars against Parthia, emptied the treasury, and trusted almost no one. Historical sources describe constant executions of anyone he suspected of disloyalty, yet somehow Macrinus not only survived, he thrived. Caracalla appointed him to the highest military position a non-noble could hold, Praetorian prefect. Then came the prophecy that changed everything. According to Cassius, a seer predicted that Macrinus and his son would one day wear the purple, the imperial color. When Caracalla learned of this prophecy, he sent a letter ordering Macrinus's immediate removal. But fate intervened. The messenger carrying that letter arrived too late. Macrinus had already learned of its contents. The verified historical record documents what happened next. On April 8, 217 AD, during a military campaign near Kerhe in modern Turkey, Emperor Caracalla stopped to relieve himself. A soldier named Marcellus approached and struck him down. Ancient sources confirm Macrinus orchestrated this moment. Within days, the Praetorian prefect was proclaimed emperor by the legions. The outsider had won. For the first time in Roman history, a man without senatorial or equestrian rank wore the purple. Macrinus had shattered every rule of Roman succession. He was African. He was a freedman's son. He had never commanded legions in battle. Yet here he stood, Emperor of Rome. The impossible had become reality. But holding power would prove far harder than seizing it. Macrinus inherited chaos. The Parthian War was draining gold faster than Rome could mint it. He negotiated peace, paying 200 million sesterces to end the conflict. The Senate, who had never accepted a non-noble emperor, viewed him with contempt, and in Syria, a powerful family was plotting. The women of the Severan dynasty had not forgotten their claim to the throne. Julia Misa, Caracalla's aunt, produced a rival claimant, her 14-year-old grandson, Elagabalus. She spread word that the boy was actually Caracalla's illegitimate son, making him blood heir to the Severan dynasty. The legions of Syria, loyal to the Severan name, began to turn. Macrinus faced a choice: crush the rebellion or lose everything. June 8, 218 AD, the Battle of Antioch. Macrinus led his forces against the Severan rebels. Ancient sources describe a brutal engagement. At a critical moment, seeing his lines waver, Macrinus made a fateful decision. He fled the battlefield. His soldiers, witnessing their emperor abandon them, surrendered. 14 months after his impossible rise, Macrinus's reign was over. The official historical record preserves Macrinus's final days. After fleeing Antioch, he attempted to reach Rome, disguising himself as a messenger. He was captured in Chalcedon, modern-day Turkey. His son, Diademenianus, whom he had made co-emperor, was caught separately. Both were executed. The first outsider emperor's legacy would be written by his enemies, but the precedent he set could never be erased. Macrinus's reign lasted only 14 months, yet his impact echoed through centuries. He proved that the purple was not reserved for the privileged, that ability could triumph over bloodline. After him, Rome would see emperors from every corner of the empire. Soldiers, provincials, men who would have been unthinkable before Macrinus broke the barrier. He opened a door that could never be closed again. Gladiator II takes creative liberties with this story. The film's Macrinus is a former gladiator seeking revenge. The real Macrinus was a bureaucrat seeking survival. He never fought in an arena. He never personally ended Caracalla, but perhaps the deeper truth remains the same, that Rome, for all its rigid hierarchy, could still be conquered by those it tried to exclude. That is the verified legacy of Marcus Opellius Macrinus. This is why we investigate the stories behind the stories. The real history is often more remarkable than fiction. But Macrinus wasn't the only emperor Rome tried to forget. Next, we reveal the ruler whose name was literally chiseled off every monument. The emperor Rome tried to erase from existence. Subscribe now to uncover the verified truth when it drops.